In 1922, the third world chess champion Jose Raul Capablanca played 103 games simultaneously in Cleveland. He completed the exhibition in 7 hours, scoring 102 wins and 1 draw. His percentage of wins in this exhibition has never ever even been approached before or since by any other player on over 75 boards. By the way, I have to tell you that the photo which you can see on your screen is not from that Simul. Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and in this video we're going to take a look at that same game which ended in a draw. In this game Capablanca had white pieces, and the hero of this Simul is Erick Anderson, who is playing with the black pieces. The game was played at Cleveland Athletic Club. But before starting our game, make sure that you are subscribed in order not to miss my future uploads. Back to our main board, where Capablanca is white and he opened up with e4. Anderson responded with e5, knight f3, d6, we have the Philidor defense. d4, e takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop e7. According to modern theory, knight f6 or g6 are more popular, but in our game we have bishop e7. Knight c3, knight f6, bishop e2, knight d7. Black wants to put his knight on c5 on an active square. Meanwhile, Capablanca castles kingside, knight c5, f3, strengthening the pawn on e4, c6, bishop e3, black castles kingside, queen d2, knight e8, rook d1, and f5. Well, the idea of first playing knight e8 and then f5 we can call dubious, because this is weakening the a to j diagonal too much. And in here, with several accurate moves, Capablanca could gain a totally winning position. Here he could announce a check from c4 in order later not to allow knight e6 move, and then after king h8 could harass black knight, and then if knight a6 then bishop takes a6 followed by knight takes c6, and this is a total destruction, guys. White is winning. Later the pawn on d6 can also be targeted, but in our game after f5 we have e takes f5. So this was the first real winning chance which Capablanca missed. After e takes f5 we have bishop takes f5 and the exchange of minor pieces on f5. g4, despite the fact that this is somewhat weakening white's kingside, this is an accurate move. White is kicking away black rook from the fifth rank and then is capturing on c5. D takes c5 and bishop c4 check. With this move Capablanca is missing his second chance of winning on the spot. Instead it was better to play queen e3. And now if you move away your queen, for example, on c7, then queen e6 will follow, and then rook d7, or if you step into a pin, for example, if you make a move like bishop d6, then this time queen e6 check is coming, followed by knight e4. Yeah, you have to give up your exchange, and again white is winning. Or if you move like knight d6, then anyways, this pin is becoming a huge problem for black. Queen e6 check will follow, knight e4, and then if you move like rook e8, this is a cunning move, by the way. In here you should not hurry and go for a move like knight takes d6, because in the end of the day black is winning back the piece. That's why instead of going for knight takes d6, in here bishop c4 is winning, with the idea of white is not only moving away his bishop from the e-file, but also is acting against any possible bishop f8 moves. In this case, white can announce a checkmate. But in our game after d takes c5, we have bishop c4 check. King goes on h8, and we have the exchange of queens. The rooks are also exchanged. Knight e4, b5, bishop e6, bishop f6, c3, b4, bishop d7, coming after the pawn on c6, knight c7, and we have bishop takes c6. Knight e6, in return black is activating his knight, but white is just doing great. Knight takes f6, rook takes f6, rook e1, b takes c3, b takes c3, knight c7, covering the 8th rank, attacking white bishop, and rook d8, creating a mating threat. The bishop is untouchable. G6. There we have it. Rook d8 check. King G7. Rook d7 check. And after Rook f7, we also see the exchange of rooks. So Capablanca went for simplifications. He's a pawn up, and I guess he was confident that he would win this endgame. King e6. As you know, Capablanca was extremely strong in endgames. His games where he's realizing the advantage in the endgame are classical examples of how one can play endgames. But by playing bishop e4, he made a mistake. Instead, it was better to put, for example, the bishop on f3 or on b7. And the problem with this bishop e4 move is that after knight b5, c4, black is playing knight c3 and white is losing a pawn. Probably Capablanca was too tired of playing against 103 opponents and he made this simple mistake. And at this point, by the way, the players have equal chances. The computer gives a total equality. According to the engine, this is a totally drawish endgame. Hg5, Hg5. Meanwhile, in return, Capablanca is also getting a passed pawn. King e5, bishop c2, a5. Black wants to make use of his a pawn. King e3, knight e2, king d2, knight b4, bishop h7, knight c6, king c3, knight d4, king b2. Capablanca is hurrying to march the pawn on a5, knight e6, g6, king f6, king a3, king e5, king a4, and king d4. So far so good, but this move turns out to be a mistake. Instead, it was better to make a move like king f6, and now if you capture on a5, then knight d4, and then black is supporting his pawn on c5 from b3. Unlike knight e6, supporting the pawn from b3 is stronger and is not losing. Black is holding, but instead we have king d4, and the problem with this move is that by going for king b5, protecting the pawn on c4, Capablanca could actually win, and this turns out to be Capablanca's last chance, which he didn't realize. Instead he played bishop g8, but let's take a look how by playing king b5 Capablanca could win. If knight g7, then bishop g8, first protecting the c4 pawn, and then white is winning the a pawn, and then white king is hurrying towards the g file. Of course, there are still some obstacles, but already at this point Capablanca could realize the advantage very confidently. This is one of the possible lines, and then black is also winning the pawn on c5 and the game is over. But in our game, after king d4, we have bishop g8, knight f4, knight g7, then knight h5 is coming. Capablanca played bishop h7, but black forced a draw by removing both white pawns, and we have a draw. This is it, dear chess lovers. This was the game which spoiled Capablanca's perfect simul, and we have a single draw in this impressive victorious simul. Erick Anderson was lucky in this game, right? In the end, let's also solve a chess puzzle where the task is to find the winning move for black. It's black to move, and I will wait for your answer in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Here are more suggestions for you. Feel free to check them out as well. I will see you in my next video. Take care.